Dave, and you're watching Paladins Pro Circuit over here in Brazil. Kresnik is with me, and Krez, we get another look at Parallax today. Again, sort of their arch rival here in Brazil in Carnage. Arch rival, you know, maybe hard to say on a matchup like this. You know, it's been a lopsided series, at least win-loss wise, though maybe not in the gaming department. Here's a look at the other teams in Brazil that will be playing in Control, Fatal Ambition, Ignite versus Tempest team, so lots of fun to be seen in Brazil for sure. But Krez, you look at this Parallax versus Carnage matchup. Parallax has not lost a set yet here in Brazil, or have never really not looked competitive in their sets. Do you think that changes today?
I think Carnage can definitely fight back into this monster at the top of the standings for sure here. Parallax 10-0, and earlier in the season, I mean, you mentioned them as rivals. I think that was at first kind of a carryover from the first phase where Carnage was right up there with them. But now in the second phase, Carnage started a lot worse and kind of had to pick up steam over time to actually catch up to Parallax and put themselves back in the second place spot. And we'll see if that steam can kind of keep rolling forward for them on Stone Keep.
Of course, Parallax, Kronz, Midtow, Outlander, Spexy, Dintic, and then Carnage, Scooter, Cool, NZ, Crimson, Ares, and Rochelle. So, lots of name recognition for sure in this matchup. Stone Keep, as you mentioned, Krez, first overall map in this top 2 matchup over in Brazil. Are there any kind of niche picks you expect here in this one? I mean, do either of these two teams kind of scream the EVs, the Maves, the Blasters, the Flanks of the world? You know, some teams do have those types of players, some teams don't. Do you imagine we see any of those picks here in this one?
For sure. When with Spexy, especially on Parallax Gaming, we're going to see Bomb King, we're going to see EV. Bomb King more specific to Brazil. EV we're definitely seeing a lot more in Europe these days as one of the counters towards the hit scan backline flanker, the backlines that we're seeing picked up by, you know, Slapidopoulos and Prosper. A little bit less of that here, but Carnage is one of those teams that actually can exploit that with Cool NZ, one of their newer pickups, who has kind of given them this controller specialization and having the ability to play these Victors, Vivian, Strixes to kind of a new level. But no matter what they pick up, they're going to be playing into Aspexy pocketed with a Genos. And Aspexy, you know, I think in the argument for the Crystals as a Rookie of the Year coming in here, even maybe a Player of the Year in general, because I feel like he has been such a star coming in and replacing FRZ.
Agreed. You know, those are big shoes to fill, and I think week in, week out, Aspexy is constantly impressing me with the way he plays and the way he carries himself. So definitely a big one today, and a very important matchup here in this region. Genos answered back by a Corvus and a Vivian. Very strong duo here for Stone Keep. Obviously, Corvus tends to be that immediate answer back when one team grabs themselves the Genos first overall. And Androxus, I think a great way to add some mobility and some direct damage to the lineup here for Parallax, and even a little splash damage once that Accursed Arm is ready to go.
Yeah, that'll go under the Vivian shield as well, so as long as she doesn't have that high of a level of Scapegoat, that is pretty much a guaranteed kill if they get that follow-up. Interesting thing here, Cassie is a pick that kind of has been a star in Brazil and kind of almost just abandoned in the other regions sometimes. We see it more for, you know, big game, to play into Rome, to play into Inara, to play into, you know, Makoa maybe if you play against Clown Fiesta next week with how much they were picking the Makoa in the previous week. But Brazil-centric picks, Cassie's one of them, and Buck is another one that we're seeing solely in this region. Buck, with that bulk up, that sustain, we're not seeing him bounce housing quite as much as we saw in NA in Phase 1, but him being able to lock down a flank, be hard to kill, and then when you actually get in and pressure him, he jumps away. I see the value. I see why teams are picking it up.
I think interesting here, Krez, is both teams waiting until their final 4 picks, or 2 picks, I suppose, 4 total, but 2 picks each, their final 2 picks, to look towards that front line. Healer, flank, and direct damage, very important for both of these squads throughout their first 3. Parallax is only going to go the 1 tank route. And talk about mobility between an Androxus and an Eevee. I mean, hell, even the dodge roll from Cassie as well will provide a little bit of that. Is Fernando good enough as a solo tank, though, to kind of withstand some of the pressure that a Vivian, Buck, Atlas, and Nara are going to be bringing is maybe the $1 million question here.
The Nando's going to struggle, I think, into the Vivian in particular, just because of being able to get spammed through the shield. Also, if this is a Deja Vu Atlas, that can go around the shield and knock it down and make him have to kind of live with that cooldown. But all he has to do is live long enough for the DPS to do their job, right? He just has to stall. So if Parallax can win this one quickly, Nando, he'll give them all the time they need. Just put up that shield. By the time it's down, I guarantee you the 3 DPS that Parallax have should be able to at least run past that Atlas and find an early kill.
Yeah, you know, and that's the name of the game here, I think, for Parallax, is withstand that early, win that early. That's what Genos will allow you to do as well. He'll really sweep those fights for you early on. So hopefully Parallax is able to do so. This is a team that through 10 sets has lost 6 total games. They are 24 plus minus. They have not lost a single set, 10-0. Can Carnage Gaming change that? Your second place team currently over here in Brazil. So if anyone's going to do it, maybe it's Carnage Gaming. 1 versus 2 matchup over in Brazil, kicking off Stone Keep for map number 1. Impulse makes some sense here. I think for Cassie, a little extra of that burst damage, depending on who it is that might be jumping on her from Carnage Gaming.
So this is a battle of the previous PPL experience too, with Ares on one side and Mitau on the other, the last remainders. And Rashao as well, the last remainders of that SSG roster here in the Brazilian region. But I think you were right about Impulse. I think it's going to be a good pickup for Mitau into what they're playing against. Just specifically, I think, for CCing the Buck and knocking him around, making things a little tougher. And that little bit of Megaton knockback there that split the team and made it so they can't mount through. And Mitau's just keep them locked out.
Whoa, Ares, though. He draws first blood, and this one it's Dintic who meets Ares in the middle and falls by the wayside. Carnage Gaming now have 2 kills on the board. Ares starting to swing a little bit early here, and you don't often see this. Parallax on the back foot as Carnage Gaming have made their way onto the point somewhat easily, Kresnik.
With great control on the side, this is when Buck is going to kind of run away with it in the early game, when he has the ability to heal even through Cauterize when it's not really online, but Espexi finds him. The Vivian getting a second as well. The whole team just ganged up and got 2.
That's why we love what we've seen from Espexi, the ability to make big plays. Looking for a third, but he's going to wormhole his way back to safety. 87% is where Carnage Gaming will officially stall out their first attempted capture of the set. And now Parallax Gaming right back in the driver's seat, but they have a lot of ground to make up here. Carnage Gaming, plenty of time to regroup and maybe push for this high ground on their own.
Yeah, with the hold. It's going to be tough to break through, though. They have the Atlas here, but he can't really push, and they're going to have to play off of this kill that they get. But look at this peel. Parallax, they're so together, but they sacrifice Mitau just to keep Espexi up.
Yeah, Mitau, he wanted it all there and helped his team get 1, but it immediately a couple down. Espexi, a double kill yet again, keeps Parallax Gaming in this mid-fight. Cool up on the high ground. Outlander has something to say about it, though. The high ground falls as Cool does as well. It's the second chance now for Atlas. Down onto the point goes Rashao, and down into the graveyard he falls as well. Dintic now has a double. It's the flanks of Parallax Gaming starting to get things done for this squad. Cursed Arm maybe peels back the Zanara. 99% overtime is on. Scooter not able to get the seismic crash off, and it's an immortal down just to make sure Parallax Gaming fight in from an 87% deficit and grab their first point.
The mobility just helped them astronomically on that retake. The fact that they were able to just collapse in one spot with that movement made things easy for Parallax, and the player skill helped them follow up on it too. Dintic on the right, Aspexy on the left. Anytime that Carnage wanted to fight someone, they left. Wish they told Mitau that that was going to be the plan, because he had to, give his life away maybe to keep the fight in their side, but they're just using this mobility and making it so hard for Carnage to lock anybody down.
As Ares is going to jump up onto the high ground, though. Look at the double setback. Pulls a couple in immediately. The Exile swing through. Looks like Mitau is locked on in. And maybe the silver lining here for Parallax is that the Exiles don't really end up finding all that much. It was a winning fight anyway for Carnage Gaming. Streaky early on here from Ares. You get these big swings of 2-3 kills in a row, and then the Parallax flanks sort of handle him for a little bit of time, and then he pushes back. It's been an interesting battle on the sides of the map for sure.
I think he's only going to find those kills when things are really consistent, when the fight is long, because otherwise Dintic and the Androxus and the Eevee, are just going to leave. They're just going to run away and not really fight him. He tries to sustain, and 3 kills go down immediately.
Whoa. Now it could be a full-on wipe here, and it sure will. Almost everyone getting involved there, except for Outlander. Won't pick one up there. Don't think Fernando ended up striking gold either, but all the damage dealers for Parallax getting it done. Now Carnage Gaming back and respawning. Some big ultimates ready. Cursed Arm through time and space, and Immortal right around the corner for Parallax Gaming. They love to draw these big leads early and then make you pay later on. Dash up to the sky, that usually spells time for a Cursed Arm. This is a second chance used by Atlas, gets him up onto the high ground, but Rochelle will fall to Midtown nonetheless. A little bit of a field down now. Zanara tries to backpedal her way away. Dintic dashes off to the side. Midtown hits the final shot there. No more front lines. Atlas back and respawning. 0 seconds left. He'll have to mount his way back down, but he's immediately dismounted. Carnage Gaming, they have to throw bodies on down. Ares picks up an important kill now onto Dintic. Immortal gets used here. Midtown pulled right back into the Entropic Breach as the Spexy will pick up one onto Ares, but Rochelle enough staying power to keep him in the fight. And Parallax Gaming will be denied their second point.
And that was, it was a great push by them, but even spending the Immortal for it because they were so confident in it, but the respawns just kept things so far in Carnage's favor. They had the Vivian up top who got so low. I don't even know how Midtown managed to snake those last couple of arrows around the shield that Cool had up, but it wasn't enough to finish things off. I think Scapegoat won just a filler card in the build, but it looked like it was enough to have it. Actually, not even running it. I confused Unchecked Ambition with it when I was looking in the top right. Not even lifesteal, any form of sustain other than the shield health, but just barely surviving that poke that they had. Parallax's take was good. It just wasn't good enough at this phase in the game to sustain long enough, right? There is no cauterize, so when the tanks are on the point, they're going to live at least a set amount of time as you're burning through this Corvus healing, plus that lifesteal that they have stacked on top of them as well. So all these effects on top of each other, the time bought barely enough for Carnage to live, but I'm worried about them in the future mids or the future cap points if we get to that.
Yeah, cauterize is going to be very important for limiting Ares and that restore as well. Full 5 group for Parallax in here on the low ground. Ares restores himself back up. Here comes the Buck Wild immediately into a reversal though. Kronz, Dintic, both down. Carnage Gaming finds some early turnaround kills. A couple of ultimates used here to really push back the blue side. And Parallax Gaming will be pushed back. This is almost exactly what we saw in that first mid-fight where Carnage Gaming able to find early control.
Yeah, now I think they're going to be smart enough to not commit people into Banana. Cool. Just as I say that, we get to see that they are watching a lot further back. This is the much, I think, smarter position to hold, so they're going to look elsewhere. The Ice Storm catches Ares. No heroic leap available. And they're giving up cap time now because they know they can't live against the full 5 coming in.
Spexy does it again now for Parallax and gives his team a chance to fight back in. It's only 72% this time instead of the 87 that was in the first mid. A Cursed Arm for Dintic will not finish off the Atlas, but does force back Carnage Gaming. Midtown finds the way to weave in those arrows, and Rochelle ends up dying. Ares will pull back one, though, onto the Cassie. A little bit of revenge for the rest of his team. Here comes the onslaught from Carnage Gaming. Seismic Crash stuns down Kronz, but he's safe and sound behind the wall here, and the rest of the killing all being done now by Carnage Gaming. Shaky on these mid-fights has been Parallax. And that might just be it. I don't think Parallax has the legs to get back in unless Dintic resets overtime. He will. But nobody else will be in range, and Carnage Gaming now a chance to push for their third point.
Dintic had the magic dashes, but no one else really had the movement for it. And this is an interesting use of an exile here to just try to snowball this, but everyone else is kind of far back, especially lowest health in the game and exiled, and manages to get away with it, honestly. And Ares too greedy, falls to Kronz. This is just going to let Parallax stabilize. A weird use of an aggressive ult.
Yeah, absolutely agreed there. Parallax Gaming now can sort of take as much ground as they want as Carnage Gaming have to work their way right on back. Stone Keep was very important to decide how far in you want to go because we've seen games turn around from right around this point here. But I suppose, Chris, if you're on the defensive end, any amount of time you're wasting is probably a good thing, provided that you don't fully get swept.
I think it's even fine if you do when you're this far forward, right? Because then you manage to get that, I think, full 5 stack going in. Now Parallax, I think, unless you can for sure get out, you just have to die, and you have to do it before they get to the card or on the card itself, just to bleed out a little bit more time. But Carnage isn't even capping. They're just letting everyone else kind of run away. Both the flankers leave. Now the card is finally moving, but Parallax bled about a minute and 20 off. As soon as they manage to retake that space, no kills can be able to get chased down because of this. So great aggressive offense, and hey, throw away this Ice Storm, maybe get another Ares completely caught out.
Man, Spexy has just been on top of Ares time and time again in this game, it seems. The Ice Storm in particular has been great at keeping the buck exactly where Parallax wants him. A couple trades here that's always going to benefit the defense in this case. Carnage just has so much further to walk in. Now 45 seconds left. Carnage Gaming have to fully reset. Scooter is going to be heavily staggered out from the rest of his team. He's just going to try to jump off the map. Outlander. Don't call it BM. That's a big brain play there to keep Scooter right where he is for maybe just another second or so. But 30 seconds left now on the push for Carnage.
Honestly, they would have bought even more time if Mitao was the greedy one, trying to get that little bit of extra credits near the very end. Could have held on even longer, but he will be back for the next fight, I think, no matter what, more or less, as both the tanks hold here. Triple DPS holding this area is actually really difficult. It's so much pressure on whatever flanker you have holding that area. I mean, especially against an Inara and a Buck as an Eevee. 1800 HP with an Inara and a Buck on the other side, and he's managing to keep them locked out. Mitao's damage is helping quite a bit. Look at this, Rochelle solo on the objective, and they actually have a flank stuck in a 1v2 on the side.
Yeah, to Ares, who's being jumped on by a couple, and wouldn't you guess it, Spexy will hit the important shots here, killing spree on in. Parallax will seal this one up as soon as Scooter and then the rest go down. Just farm up a little bit of damage, a little bit of ultimate charge there. Parallax Gaming, I mean, that really goes back, Krez, I think, to that early pressure they had, pushing out through the mid on the low ground there. And what'd we say, minute 15, minute and 20 seconds that they burned away, really only gave Carnage 1.5 chances to kind of push that one in.
And the fact that they even got the chances to do those overtime pushes, I think, speaks well to them. They're just, I think they need someone to support Ares, because the way that Parallax is holding this with triple DPS, which is, I would say, probably one of the only ways to make it work, is they're sending both of their flankers to hunt someone down, and then trying to get something done before Kronz's shield runs out, because that's basically all the time they have, right? If they lose their solo tank, it's going to be so easy for Rochelle, Scooter, everyone on Carnage just come barreling in. But if the flankers get a kill, if they equalize it, just make that 1-for-1, then, or 1-for-1 with the defensive advantage, they'll be able to hold it. Parallax, they're playing it really smart. It's just, it's so hard for GWS to hold that. It's a big skill matchup they end up in, having to win their fights and play together. But they're making it work so far. They just have a lot of game to go.
Early Exiles, early snipe though for Outlander, gets the better of Rochelle on the mid. Kronz immediately there on the follow-up to get rid of Kulin Z as well. Scooter working his way in. Mitao saved by the Immortal here, and Spexy picks up the kill. This is the best mid-fight we've seen out of Parallax. They get a flurry of kills onto Carnage Gaming, and Carnage, Krez, for really the first time on a mid, do not have 70 or 80% built up. Parallax Gaming in control for really, I'd argue, the first time this set.
And I thought that the mid that Parallax played was great. Reactive mids are hard to do. They make it work. Carnage's execute was good. Just managed to actually get countered. But Vivian finds the better of the Eevee, and a second one from Cool as well.
Oh man, Kronz trying to get the kill here, but there's so much healing coming through, and Carnage Gaming will stabilize. Now Ares jumps on in, gets rid of Outlander. So Parallax Gaming, suddenly the ones on the back foot. Carnage Gaming just now eclipsing the 57% that Parallax have built up. Scooter playing far forward, will toss up the wall here on the right-hand side. Easily moved around by a couple of the flanks, though, on Parallax. One final push in, one final defense to be had for Carnage Gaming to get their third point and potentially a win here. A couple more ticks is all they need. Kronz has to dash on in, but look how low the Fernando is with no Immortal. Cool will gun him down easily here. Nobody has dove the Vivian until now, but didn't tick, only meets death. On the other side, Ares as well is going to see a Spexy inside the ice block. A Spexy, good mobility, and Mitao on some follow-up shots, but you got to look at the tank, you got to look at the health bar. Nobody really from Parallax Gaming until now it's Kronz back on the respawn. It's a double setback from Rochelle. Is it enough, though, for the time being? It does not look like it. Parallax Gaming able to stabilize. Scooter, Void gripped on up, walks his way away. Overtime ticking away for Parallax Gaming. You gotta be kidding me. They get their third point.
An insane overtime touch by Spexy, too. He was so low, but got in and got out in front of everybody. And they bought just enough time for the return of Kronz. He made it back after having to throw his life away for the overtime earlier. Just great play between Aspexy and Mitau. Mitau had the perfect cleanup. Again, gave his life up for it. And the Scorch Fireball goes through the tank and kills Crimson in the spawn.
Yeah, you thought that Strix was banned out, but it's really just a bigger version with Kronz on the Fernando here. Now you got to be careful if you're Carnage Gaming. You sort of sold out for that mid-fight, and now suddenly Parallax Gaming not only pull one away from you, but they have a chance to win this game. A great showing, regardless of outcome from Carnage Gaming. They've taken a lot of fight to Parallax, and that's all you can ask of some teams here in Brazil, but Carnage definitely have higher aspirations in mind. They want to win this set. Dintic snags a kill onto Ares. Through time and space for Outlander. He's hit a couple of them this game. Pull back in, but just around the side. Dintic picks up the kill onto Rochelle. Now wait and see how Parallax respond. Ice Storm around the corner. Immortal there as well. Void Grip up. Dintic. Now another kill. No front line for Carnage Gaming. Cart rolling its way in. Cool from the high ground. Always going to be difficult to lock down the Vivian from that far away. Ares meets some bolts from Mitau. Double set back around the side as Rochelle has respawned. Cool has not been touched yet here in this fight. And that might be enough for the time being to keep Parallax at bay.
They tried to make that work, but you just can't with a Vivian being uncontested. They killed everybody else, and then it looked like they were trying to shoot, honestly, the Buck that was pushing their top right. They prioritized that high ground control, but didn't think about what a Vivian on the back line was going to be able to do. Just
yeah, man.
The tiniest bit of pressure from Aspexy, even a nice Storm to maybe even take down those Sentinels would have helped significantly, but Carnage managed to hold on the back of Cool. And now they have to find a way to push right back through with the tank of both lanes, but Mitau finds the answer first.
Talk about a volley of damage there for Mitau. Now here comes the go button for Parallax Gaming. Seismic Crash finally going to get used here. Rings down in the back line. Might have been enough to help out with the kill onto Dintic, but no, it's Ares getting it done on his own here. Void Grip up onto Scooter. How many times have we seen that this game? The Sonara just locked in place. Aspexy doing his best to provide some big damage here from the right-hand side. Kron's still in range to contest. Things are going to get a little bit more tense before they get better. Immortal spent. Kron's wants to win this game now. The rest of Parallax might as well. Immortal times out through time and space, also spent here. It's an entropic breach onto Midtown, and he has to roll away back to safety. A checkerboard of kills here, but watch out for the respawns from Carnage Gaming. Parallax fall by the wayside. They didn't spend too much, but an Immortal's a big ult not to have going in, but Carnage Gaming spent a lot as well.
It's a huge ult to have, not to have, especially when you're not Aegis. Kronz is running, I believe he's running Scorch. Still, it's been his kind of common thing on Tank Nando. When you don't have Aegis, you don't have as many ways to extend the fight. You kind of need that Immortal to kind of string your shields together. That is definitely a Scorch Nando. Looking at that build, so the mobility is good, but he's the only tank. Again, his only job is to buy time. Not able to do that anywhere near as often, and yep, for sure, the Scorch is what he is running. That's been his MO for a while here with that, so they're not going to have that extension, but a lot of ults had to get spent by Carnage as well to make that defense happen. The Entropic, the Seismic Crash, they won't have any of that. Basically, just flank ultimates left, and looks like Dintic goes in, doesn't even need it to kill Crimson.
Look at the way Kronz is playing this as well. They're kind of forfeiting the point just to try to win the fight initially. That's the second chance used, and Rochelle will need a third chance here in just a moment. Parallax Gaming right back in control of the point. Heavily staggered are Carnage Gaming. These are just individual picks across the board. Carnage have to regroup and give it another push.
Carnage just couldn't even break through, I felt like. The fact that they had everybody up top to bully them out, just no space to really be had. Up there, Carnage got picked apart by Dintic on this Androxus, so now they have to throw at least someone away to point the Accursed Arms in the way on Ares, but he just soaks all of it up.
Oh, Mitau there, though, to assist Dintic. Now 2 down for Carnage Gaming. Parallax Gaming in a perfect spot to maybe run away with this game here. Void Grip pulls up Scooter, and Dintic punches him right back down to earth. Overtime, right down to 50%. Parallax Gaming, it looks like they've done it. They've turned around their mid-fight woes to maybe lock in game number 1, and they sure will. Parallax Gaming strike first in the set.
And the composition, I always say the triple DPS doesn't win on Stone Keep, but I gotta eat my words here, because they made it work with the flankers. They just got around them the whole time. Never really got locked out, which is what the
Right.
tanks can do on Stone, right? You have a tank in each lane, they make it so hard to get in, but 22-8 Spexy clearly had absolutely no trouble with that. Even with all those mid wins, Carnage's stats don't look like they were the team with that last defense and with a decent amount of fights under their belt.
Yeah, Ares, I mean, the tug of war we saw with Ares throughout this game was obviously tough for him. I mean, there were these moments where he'd go big, and then just kind of sat on throughout the rest of the game. Mitau, fantastic performance as well, just a kill or two shy of that 20-kill mark. The 1-2 punch of a Spexy and Mitau was just a little bit too much, I think, for Carnage Gaming here. Damage numbers will tell the same story. You got 3 players above your highest, and that's cool, who was able to kind of farm damage up from the back line there. It was just overwhelming, almost, on some of these fights. It really seemed, Krez, like the moment one kill came through from Parallax, it was kind of it throughout the rest of the mid. Carnage Gaming didn't have that great of a fight-back potential, I suppose, is the way I was looking at it.
It's a lot of trust in your team too, right? Once you get that first initial pick, the fact that everyone's willing to say like, yeah, I'll run in, even if we die, we will just rush in and collapse on them with this crazy mobility that we have. So being willing to just dash in and say my whole team's going to go with me takes trust. You know, not every player is willing to make a push like that. And you can see here, they already had that first pick. Mitau just walking into an Inara. He doesn't care. He's just saying, hey, as long as I get those 2 bolts, as long as I do my job, we'll get back on that payload. We'll keep it moving forward, and we'll have a 1-map advantage heading into Ice Mines.
And Ice Mines it is. And Stone Keep, 7 points to start off this set. Now, Ice Mines is going to be interesting here, Krez, because I think we've already seen, specifically with Spexy, the ability to play the types of champions that love Ice Mines. I think this, maybe a headache is maybe an overstep here when we're talking about Carnage Gaming and what they have to pick and ban around here for Ice Mines, but it's going to be difficult. I mean, you banned a Bomb King on Stone Keep. You almost maybe feel like you have to do it again here on Ice Mines. But Spexy, I think, flexible enough to make many of the blasters work, more than the 2 that Carnage Gaming might potentially be able to ban out. A Kinessa taken away, though. That leaves the big... Hey, we're back, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. We jump back into picks and bans for game number 2. Strix locked in, Victor locked in for Parallax, and Krez, we were just sort of having that conversation about how fun the battles up on the high ground can be there. You know, you kind of got to hold those angles to avoid being bursted down by one or another. Maybe Strix has an inherent advantage in that battle, the ability to kind of stealth in and out around the corners, maybe pop a shot at the Victor, and then return to some of the fighting. Should be some fun to watch those guys battling it out across the way, though.
I mean, the burst damage definitely gives an advantage, I think, to the Strix in this, but once Victor has Barrage, you can kill the Strix while he's invisible. If you're just, you know, go back and forth. You actually had a really long tangent. I'm sad that we went down when we did, because you were even like acting it out in position.
Yeah, and everything was great.
In the middle of it, you had a whole diagram you were writing up, and now no one's going to be able to get to see that. But Carnage with this, I don't even know if Parallax are going to see more than 2 mids. Inara Khan, great, I think, tank composition to play this out with. Inara, good ultimate. She's one of the best on this map with walling people off. And Khan, we don't see him necessarily in this level of priority as often, but it's Ice Mines. You just want that overpower. You want to get someone and execute them and have a free mid, basically, if you do it. We've seen a lot of cheeky stuff on this map, too. People just pull people through the gates. The dismounting gates at the start, Khan sometimes can just get you right through that, and you can't even make it to the fight before he takes you down.
And you know, and double down, you point out free mid. I mean, that's effectively what Ice Mines is if you can find yourself a small advantage there. So I like the front lines Carnage Gaming have gone with here. I was wondering if Ashe then comes at a premium here. For Parallax, Fernando was their sort of point tank of choice in game 1. Grover a strong healer pick, but maybe the big bearded question now is Barrack and where he stands as a point tank, and Krez, if he's any good. Do you think Parallax are happy with having to lock in the Barrack here?
I think now that the Xin is locked in, I think I'm feeling a little bit better about it, but the fact that you take it before the Xin, I mean, that's a bold choice, right? When you can just have, you only have the hit scan on the other side, which makes things a lot tougher for Barrack. Barrack definitely struggles into those snipers, but maybe this is an off-tank Barrack. This could be a hold the side lane and stop the Khan from coming in Barrack, because you definitely don't want your Nando to be the one matching up against that. So That would be interesting to see, having that level of damage just zoning you
Right.
on the side, protecting the victor from that con trying to walk in.
Who do you think wins the draft here, Ice Minds in mind?
I think I'm going to say Carnage. I feel like they have better
Sounds
ultimates.
close.
Immortal is amazing, and Dome Shield is obviously fantastic, but in terms of just raw ultimates, Guillotine and Whirlwind on top of the great tank ults that Carnage have, I think edges them out, especially since it's Ice, where ultimates can just be the game.
You hesitate a little bit, and I think that's sort of a point that, you know, Parallax get a decent draft on their own here as well. Willow, we didn't even really get a chance to talk about all that much. We're going to assume, I think, that that's a Spexy on the Willow. Has the ability to pour out some damage through those windows as well. She's another matchup into that Strix that could potentially make him uncomfortable, but we know a Strix hitting his shots will make her uncomfortable. There's a lot of counterplay, I think, to be had here in game number 2. Carnage, they push Parallax to all 7 points in game number 1. Will game number 2 follow suit? Well, it's Ice Mines, so maybe a safe bet that this one could go the distance. But I think I agree with Krez here. For game 2, Carnage Gaming have a fantastic suite of team fighting ultimates, a Seismic Crash, an Overpower, a Whirlwind, a Guillotine Zin, potentially to really put down Parallax Gaming. Krez, how important do you think, though, all of that being said, that this Willow is going to be in slowing down Carnage Gaming and what they are bringing to some of these mid-fights?
It'll definitely slow them down, but I feel like Carnage should still be able to break through with what they have. Luckily for them, having that just deployable shield on the con, you can actually shield the center of the dead zone and still get healed, right? So even if the Grover's going in there with a Whirlwind and he's not healing himself, he'll heal you fully with it as long as they have that. So a little bit easier to deal with that dead zone, that being said. And also, I mean, someone in chat even said this, the ultimate from that Willow won't be quite as effective when there's cool on this Strix on the other side. That burst hit scan when you're in the air, especially since Spexy's not even starting Haven.
Yeah, Master Riding and Rizzo. Krez, we often see Master Riding, you know, a mid-fighter 2 into things here, but Spexy the one and only that's gone for it. Do you think that's a value item by here? Does that Master Riding buy you enough of an advantage here to make it worthwhile? You see him out in front a little bit, but what does it get you?
A little bit of extra early spam, and you can see him kind of already in the barn, but going there to the barn that quickly is not really necessary. Scooter just goes to the point anyway. They're already getting cap time, but they do at the very least zone out Ares, who now will just be able to refight again. No shield in the way quite yet, and he is that Guillotine just trying to charge it up, but the first kill goes to Crimson.
Crimson snags first blood in this one. Carnage Gaming back onto the point. They have a fantastic suite of frontliners, so no surprise that Carnage Gaming starting to control this mid-fight here. Spexy rode his way on in, but hasn't been able to do much since the fight initially started. Look at the way Carnage now grouping up, pushing out a little bit further before backpedaling back slightly as well. Didn't tick on this barrack, has been holding sort of that open gap side there on the side of the mid-fight. 84% as we stand for Carnage Gaming. Dintic picks up one, though, onto Ares. Is that enough, though, to get Parallax an edge fighting back into this mid-fight? Not so sure just yet. They'll have to snowball a few more kills to really convince me, but at least for the time being, they're building up some percentage.
Yeah, and they have, look at this, Dintic on this off-tank barrack. I guessed, but I guess I was right with the way that they're able to hold this down. Crunch come back in. If they get this Guillotine, actually, I think this is totally doable for Carnage, but if Fate Flight's on the other side, straight above them, forcing them back, but they could just play this barn angle and keep them under damage.
Spexy still working back and forth, trying to plug some shots around those ice cubes. Now he's going to flutter up and over. Spite does not connect. Rochelle picks up a kill, though, as it's Dintic who goes down. Billow right back in. Oh, but a little bit of damage misses, but Carnage Gaming do not miss theirs. It's a 3-kill swing. Parallax will pick up 1, but Carnage Gaming brute force their way in and take the first mid.
They charged their ults, and it worked out great for them again. To having these executes, double executes in particular, is going to make it really hard for Parallax to keep themselves alive. They should be feeling lucky they got those 2 shields to maybe at least live through one of them, as now Carnage are taking a little bit more space. But Rochelle's kind of on an island. They need to push in, but they're too scared of this dead zone, which Spexy definitely doing his job, and he's too slow for this follow-up.
Mitau, though, able to grab one onto Cool. I mean, that's maybe the most important battle across the map here, especially on some of these defenses. Being able to limit the long-range damage one way or another. Instead, hey, it's the frontliners that are going to get things done here for Parallax. Kron's with a couple, Dintik will grab one as well. So off-tank Barrack, Krez, at least on the defense, now starting to build some momentum.
Yeah, this used to be the old strategy, right? From Envy that we saw quite a bit of the time when they would run a Nara Barrack, Rubu off-tank Barrack on Frog Isle in particular. Just throw him in danger, you can't push past him. I guess it's working for Parallax, but not in the way that's getting them points, right? They're buying time, they're stalling them out, but it's not actually going to help them when all that's doing is building ult charge for Carnage, which is what they want. Parallax, they had the Immortal in time, they had the Dome Shield, maybe a little bit late, but still, we'll see what, if they can do anything with it, if they find a survival on a dive with that Dome Shield that can maybe turn around in the face of those superior ultimates.
And obviously see, Spexy is having to work like twice as hard for just a little bit of damage from maybe how you would hope a Willow to work out. Another kill for Mitau, though, onto Cool. That's a good start now for Parallax. They can sort of envelop Carnage Gaming here. Faithlight spent. It's a battle shout, though, for Rochelle. And yet again, I think it's a good magnifying glass on how tough some of these fights have been. Cart is moving here. Parallax fighting over in the mid. I think it's the Xin that's on the cart now, just rolling things forward. Parallax are going to be winning this fight, but do they know that the cart is moving in? Dintik dies, but he's the only one that goes down. There's going to be a Barrack back. They do know now, but Ares has made up a good bit of ground here. What a play here from Ares to kind of keep things moving. He has a Spite. Or Dintik is. There he is, up on the high ground. Oh, Spite doesn't connect here. That's unfortunate. Now Ares actually gets a kill onto Outlander. Not bad. Is he going to rejoin the rest of his team? No, Kron sees to it that he does not. But look at all of the ground Ares made up. A smart play to wrap around behind Parallax.
Yeah, I mean, what a the only play that would have given them a chance. It was a fantastic play by Ares, and Carnage now in a place to convert it, but they're going to be pushing into effectively an invincible victor again on that high ground, spamming down on them. They have a Strix to maybe help them make a difference, but Inara, I don't know how much time she could buy. They find the first on Kron's, though.
Oh, Kron's just sort of gets gunned down. I guess that's one way to deal with the victor. Somebody do some damage to him. They get the kill. Mitau falls to Cool, and now everyone else from Parallax has to jump their way in. Dome Shield to buy a little bit of time here. Spexy has stayed alive longer than maybe Carnage Gaming had bargained for. An Immortal spent now from Parallax. That's going to buy time for the rest of these respawns maybe to come on through. Kron's goes down, but so does Rochelle. Overtime very close, and Crimson has to back away. Carnage Gaming looks like they'll only have the Spite going into this mid-fight. They thought they could get that one on in, but Parallax just a little bit too close on the respawns.
Even with only that one, I still think they're not looking too bad for it, considering Parallax spent both of, I would consider their impact ults, right? The Dome Shield, the Immortal, the two things that should be the most important. I will say, though, one thing that always surprises me about Brazil compared to other regions is how willing they are to spend ults on the last captures. I mean, I guess it's the first one, it makes sense, but this is Ice Mines. You need them for the mid. And I feel like almost every map we see, if the cart's getting close, they just want to get it to that 4-3. They want to end the game as fast as possible. We always see them come out absolutely live today, not tomorrow. they just throw it all out there.
I admire that.
It's a decent life strategy. No, it's not. I don't even think it is. Right. We'll see how far it takes them in this game.
That's a conversation we were having this morning. We can return to in a moment after this mid-fight. Carnage Gaming, wow, they are really building up the pressure already. Halfway there, Cool sneaks a shot on through onto Mitau. Just needs to catch a glimpse of a toe from the victor, and that'll be a big advantage for Carnage Gaming. Won't come to fruition, though. Barrack sets up shop. Mitau throws down the shield, a couple of turrets to keep himself alive. A wall up as well as Carnage Gaming right back onto the point, and now Kronz has to move on in on his own as well. Tough sledding to determine which direction to sort of point to that shield. There's damage coming from all over the place. A flashbang will ring out, but somehow no kills yet in this mid.
Both teams are just playing so safe, but Carnage, I think they have the superior point tank, so they're going to be able to hold a little bit longer, but the first one does come in. A Whirlwind might turn it around, but there's a barrage and a Fey Flight in there as well.
Oh, big kills now for Parallax. Spexy with the final one onto Crimson, and now Scooter is going to take a tumble. 33% for Parallax Gaming. Rochelle very staggered out as well. I mean, I suppose this is the right and maybe only call you can take here. Send Mitau as far up as you can, get the dismounts, keep Parallax, or Carnage rather, at bay. Immediately turned around though, 84% and climbing. Zin lurking around the waters. Ares attempted a back cap. Can he now whirl his way in? No, he can't. And Parallax Gaming will capture the mid. It is an overpower that connects onto Kron, so that'll give Carnage Gaming a small advantage, and then a commander's grab. Absolutely controlling the front lines now is Rochelle. What a series now from the Con. And Carnage Gaming, they lose the mid, but they may have already won the defense.
I love that turn by Rochelle, just grabbing Barrack out of the Dome Shield cast, pulling the Nando, canceling the two ults that maybe would have let them snowball it and pushing forward, and also now abusing the Barrack hitbox on that giant cranium to get a little bit more damage and ult charge, and already back at 40%, but an engagement coming in will be good, and Tropic Breach is kind of a throwaway ult, but he holds on to it. He just wants to use the DR, saw that the chance wasn't there, and holds back, and they didn't need it because didn't take out the first.
Good look for Parallax. Can Dintic stay alive, though? Very important. Around the corner, he will. But not until Scooter calls him on it. So 1-for-1 trade, or 2-for-1 rather. Parallax with the advantage, but now Midtown will fall to Ares as well. Minute 25 seconds left. I mean, you hate to call these things too early, Kresnik, but Parallax might need sort of a back cap of their own to get themselves in range. The cart will start moving. Ice Mine's long and windy. But maybe a chance for Parallax if they can find a couple more kills, but look at the setup Carnage already have.
I think this should be the harder part of the map for Parallax, though, so I don't know how high my hopes are, considering they have to push into a Strix. Exactly, just like that. The ult tries to come in to break it, but Midtown should be falling here, too.
So what are you doing for the next 50 seconds? What do you want to talk about while this round sort of fizzles out? I'm not sure.
How do you feel about the next patch, Dave? I'm excited for Vor's Pact.
Yes,
Battle
I
Pass looks
agree.
pretty cool.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun. She's super cool. Got an awesome kit there. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch her. I wonder, competitively when she's available, what that might start to look like as well. She's got an awesome kit that I think brings some potential to the game for sure. We talk about this because no chance for Parallax to move forward here. 20 seconds on the cart counter now, and Carnage Gaming all the way in on the Parallax base. Now's the time where you start to look at some of those ultimates. Carnage Gaming fully stacked up. Parallax 4 out of 5. The barrage will charge somewhat quickly. And now maybe for the first time, Kresnik, we'll get to see the full-on power of those Carnage ultimates that we haven't really gotten to see all at the same time just yet. This theoretically should be their most powerful point.
And you know, I was honestly just watching Ares pressuring that choke earlier. I was fully expecting him to just ult. I just expected him to just pop it. I just see that so much from the Brazilian teams. I thought he was going to spend it for that in their spawn defense there, but he does hold on to it. And I think the most important thing here is you're talking about going in at full power, but Parallax aren't. They're missing that barrage, which could be the game changer into Cool, right? If he stealths in, that can be a free kill. Mitau got it without it last time with some great syncing up of his grenade throw plus the burst with the headshots coming in from him. But you can't rely on that every single time. Cool won't always be able to kind of take that nade to the chin. So now they lack that other way to deal with him as the Carnage are coming in at the full power. Those executes are going to be, I think, the most important thing, whether it's Khan, whether it's Zin. Zin has not hit one, I think, yet, so I think maybe a little bit more pressure on Rochelle to make up for that.
This is your moment. Half HP already on the Zin. Carnage Gaming are, as always, going to build up some of that early percentage. It's a Dome Shield around this right-hand corner here. Look at the Fake Light just being soaked up by Rochelle. They're going to walk away here. Parallax throw their best shot forward. Unfortunately, the overpower does not pull anyone in from Parallax, so ult traded out for ult, but 78% for Carnage Gaming on the point. Scooter is going to go down. Ares unable to get the spite off in time, and now Spexy finally whittles down the health bar. Carnage Gaming threw everything at the wall and 78% stuck, but nothing else as Parallax push out.
That was a wild combo that I've never really seen used in that way before. They comboed Dome Shield and Fade Flight. How
Yeah.
often does that ever happen? They just, the low-flying
Rarely.
corner spam. Drop it around the corner, you're invincible, you can't stop it from happening. Not even be able to stop this touch from happening. Ares does not make
Wow.
it, but Carnage are close, and they got a trade here to maybe hold this defense.
All right, Kresnik, what are you doing for the next 2? Just kidding. We're not there yet. Though it is getting worse. Rochelle, another big play on the defense, is going to put Parallax in potentially the worst spot possible. We're fighting right back into Cool here. Nice headshot there. Rings through onto Mitau. Maybe I'm not kidding. Maybe we are going to watch Cool hold off Parallax for the next 2 minutes or so. You know, if we do want to take this moment, and I will hesitate now as Parallax start to show some life here on the defense. Push on through. Cool. 5 health on the Strix. Keeps himself in it. Now Parallax, sensing blood in the water, work their way right up, back up onto this hill. 5 members grouped up around to the right-hand side here. Whirlwind's going to get used now by Carnage. Keep Parallax at bay. Scooter finds the opening kill onto Dintic and another one onto Kronz. The frontliner's gone, and a Spexy will fall as well. Mitau with the doubles, the only saving grace here. But he'll go down as well. The cart has not moved an inch. And now maybe is an okay time, Craig. I mean, you really zoom out, you look at this matchup, you're going in against Parallax, and it seems like we're snowballing our way to the second 7-point game in a row. Gotta feel good if you're Carnage. You're sort of taking it to the top team in this region that's not lost a set yet.
Yeah, for sure. I think they have the capability of winning, so maybe they're still hard on themselves for dropping that first map. But this one, even with losing the mids, looking a little bit better once they can figure out that very end. But Parallax are now getting the better of it, especially they clean up a couple off of that one Fae Flight use. If Carnage are careful here and they don't feed a Spexy too much, they might be able to deny that same combo that just got Parallax that last mid. They can deny that Dome, Fae Flight going together. It's just tough when Spexy charges his ult so fast, and when you can't even stabilize. Mitau just across the map taking down Crimson.
It's actually going to be a pretty good metric, I think. You know, for us to sort of mentally see how long this cart can move forward uncontested. It had not moved an inch until what, about the 45-second mark there, and now we're 35 seconds later and it's made its way just over the halfway point. Parallax need a perfect ending here to not only push this in, but to win the game. Rochelle falls, the Dome Shield goes down. Parallax feeling comfortable with the way things are looking here. They only get 1 kill so far. Off around the corner is Scooter. He'll get staggered out as well. Khan back and respawning. Overtime is on. Are they going to get this done? I can't believe this. Ares with the spite onto Scooter, or Kronz rather, will delay Parallax maybe just long enough. You're going to need this Barrack to have a little bit of extra survivability, something he's not great at nowadays. That got woefully close, but Parallax Gaming held at bay once more. And so, yeah, I mean, I guess what? It's 45 seconds from point down into circle that Parallax nearly got it done.
I'm gonna be honest, Dave, I had to physically restrain myself from just going, what? When I saw Dintic jump out and Dome Shield off of one pick, pushing
Right.
Ice Mind last. It just got walled off! They just pop ults in Brazil, Dave. They just use them. They don't.
Hey, I admire it.
I don't
Go
know
for
anything
it.
about it. He's going into 3-3 Ice Mind!
Yeah, baby! Let it fly! Yes! Come on! I'm just kidding.
They
No, you're right.
only won the last mid because of a sick combo, and they gave up half of it to look at a wall! That's all they got from the Dome Shield, and they just don't have it here. They honestly had to be lucky that Ares caught Rochelle's overpower with his execute stacked on top of it for some reason. But Parallax now, they know they have to play this differently, and they're already so aggressive. No one's even looking up top.
Seismic crash to the high ground gets nothing. Cool with the early snipe though. Here comes Parallax. They have a couple of kills to only losing one. Scooter will even up the score before Outlander then toggles another for Parallax. Suddenly Scooter, the last one alive. Parallax Gaming, get it done. Dome Shield or not. Now it's Carnage Gaming that have to fight their way back in. A flashbang is all they've got.
They had the Immortal there for Parallax as they went in, which countered out that seismic crash coming from below. Only a flashbang left really to engage for Carnage, and that's not really the opener that they need. They need Ares to touch, and they need Rochelle to get an execute after. I don't really know if they have another choice, but they're all standing in Willow damage. They're just getting destroyed, and Ares can't even make it.
Yeah, Ares falls by the wayside. 99% for Parallax. You could win another 7-point game here. Scooter attempting to make his way onto the point, but it will not happen. Parallax Gaming. They don't need the dome shield. They don't need the push. They just need a little bit of time there on that point. And Carnage falling 7 points once again.
I think Parallax definitely adapted to what they had to at the end, right? Just them saying, hey, listen, we threw a lot on the wall. None of it stuck.
Literally.
Let's just run at him. Let's just run at him. And Kronz will press E, and maybe we'll win the game. And it was exactly what they needed because Scooter threw that seismic crash right into those immortal players. They got slowed down, but Cool literally did not turn on the call of people being right behind him, still trying to shoot the point with everyone on that flank. Good stats from him, but tough at the very end when they got collapsed on. But I think I like the replay here. Mitau, I thought, was even in the losing fights, he was constantly trading them a few kills.
Yeah, Mitau, I think, had a great game here. Close to top damage, if not top. Very close, though, was Cool on the Strix. I mean, the widest damage gap was a Spexy over Ares by about 50,000, and that's really where the cliff kind of falls off. Then you look at the healing numbers as well. I believe both of the healing numbers were right around the 180,000 mark, so close in the top damage for both teams, very close in the healing for both teams, but then that second tier of damage was so far ahead for a Spexy. I think it makes a massive difference. We still win, 7 points though. The Carnage Gaming very much in this one. I think Outlander, good we're highlighting him a little bit. He's had a phenomenal set up to this point, and now a map that I love to watch, but we don't get to see all that often, Warder's Gate, to potentially give Parallax the win.
Yeah, Parallax, though, they're definitely feeling the pressure from Carnage. This is a map that Carnage also want now that we are in the loser's pick section after that close game on Ice Mine. So, Carnage, I want to see if they have something interesting, because we don't really get to see Warders that much. It's banned pretty much constantly. So I would like to see something maybe a little bit different here, and an EV ban, and that's different. It is strong on this map. It is definitely a target towards a Spexy on the other side. Rom banned in response, and he's so strong, I think, in the western side of the world, when in Brazil and in North America. He's still good in Europe, but not necessarily played as a solo tank, not necessarily banned. He just makes so much space that these aggressive teams can really capitalize on.
Yeah, I love, or I'm sad to see some of those bans come out, because they're a lot of fun to watch here on Warder's Gate. 3 damage dealers. Vivian is the third and final damage dealer to get banned out. Rom has not seen the light of day so far in this set. Carnage Gaming going to prioritize that Corvus over the Genos here in this case. Parallax Gaming now maybe have a little bit of time to wait on locking in their healer if they want, or just get him now and save a counter pick there for later on. Ash, in and out of this set so far. First priority, though, going into Warder's Gate in a set where Parallax has had some interesting frontline priority. What do we think of their first 2 picks between the Ash and the Strix?
It can be a little bit of a mismatch, but I think the Ash getting aggressive will definitely open the door for this. You can also kind of glide a little bit on the crystals with the carryover momentum from the shoulder bash, so you can go real deep if they end up getting a flanker to really follow up with it. I think Maeve is a better pick than Strix, maybe, even here. I think the Strix, great for poke, of course, but Ash Strix, definitely not the most together here. Inara is a great point tank here as well. You can lock down the door completely if you have a perfect wall. They can't get the touch, and they have to jump over the sides or go under, which really kind of pigeonholes them to going one direction. So, love the start by Carnage here, and Parallax with this Genos, actually. Genos boosted Strix. If the Ash plays careful on the sides, that Maeve might not even have a chance to really get in.
Yeah, that's what I'm concerned about here, is the ability of this Maeve to move forward unchecked, especially on a map like Warder's Gate. There are obviously some sightline breaks, but throughout some of those mids, you know, it's going to be difficult to stay away from Strix and out of that scope. Cassie locked in as well now for Parallax Gaming. I mean, you've got some serious burst damage between those two, especially with the Genos at their back. Potentially missing a little mobility in the sense that Strix and Cassie not necessarily the ones to roll on in, though we have seen a little bit of that from Parallax and Cassie up to this point. Ruckus, though, for the first time this set. Inara Ruckus, that's a traditional frontline duo. Maybe one that makes some sense on Warders, and now a Talus to round out the draft for Carnage. What do you think of their final 2 picks?
Very aggressive. I mean, this Inara is kind of going to be alone, I think, quite a bit of the time, but this Ruckus, even though it's picked into Cassie, hard game into Cassie with big game being picked up on the other side, but they can go so forward. This is his best map by far, the ability to use those crystals, land in the backline, make them turn around. Now Parallax feel like they have to get the buck as their kind of pseudo-tank here, but they're lacking a point tank. So they can just have... Carnage can just play off of that while just running in from that crystal boost and causing chaos in the back.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting, I think, to watch how Parallax play this one. I mean, you got a Strix that wants to hang back, a Cassie that can follow this Ash along, I suppose, a Buck that can dive into the back. Carnage Gaming going to be looking to do some of the same as well. I wonder how much of a difference this Inara is going to make, having that dedicated point tank in a game otherwise maybe dominated by picks that want to dive into the back line. Do or die now for Carnage Gaming. Parallax 1 win away from taking the set here. Big game is the talent we have at the moment. Definitely makes some sense. You sung its praises in the draft phase there, so it looks like that is what Parallax will be rolling out with. What do you think, though? I mean, does this Parallax draft kind of say, I want to fight in and then worry about the point later?
I think so, or at the very least they're going to try to just be kiting them out, honestly, but it's going to be hard for Mitau. Other than his stealth, he really can't do much else, right? Once he gets dove, he has to use that tactical retreat speed to run away. And look at this setup by Carnage. They're all just waiting here to go in. Instantly killed, though. It's cool, and they finally make it to the back, but they need more.
Oh, no. I don't know, there's something just so satisfying about Buck. You reload, you jump your way in, and then you do massive amounts of damage. And Dintic with a 3 streak to start off this game here. Parallax sort of wiped the floor with Carnage. We were worried, I was worried, about how that point percentage would look for Parallax, given that the Inara has a little extra staying power. Dintic make it up onto the crystal, leap his way away. Ruckus follows him, but not sure that's a trade Ruckus wants to be taking here. There is a touch from Ares onto the point. Rochelle, half HP up on the high ground. Overtime on already for Parallax, dancing back and forth. One final fight to get things done here. Ares picks up one. It's on to Outlander especially, so no more healing in this fight for Parallax, and Carnage Gaming have successfully fought their way back in.
A really chaotic retake, too. I felt like there was Carnage just all over the place, honestly, but they managed to win all their fights, even against a Genos. I feel like the Genos comp should kind of thrive there, but they have the extra health, and they managed to barrel through with that double tank composition. This early hit scan pressure as well to dismount. This is one of the similarities with this map, almost fish market-esque, where you can have those long sight lines to take a lot of space for free early, but the retake has to come in here. You managed to get one in, but it's the only tank, and Carnage can just focus them down.
It's a dash in and a dash immediately back out for Rochelle, and Dintic will clean up the kill, but both off-tanks have now been traded, and Parallax now down to 3 damage dealers. No chance for them. Carnage Gaming move in onto the point, and they take point number 1, and then some. They're going to make up a lot of ground here on Warder's Gate. There is some weaving to be done by the cart, but Carnage Gaming have set themselves up well.
They should be able to keep it moving too. Having both tanks on this map means you can lock down the high ground, and you can have someone kind of bullying through secret on the far right side. I love seeing Maeve being played as much as she is. Her win rate kind of skyrocketed in the PPC for a bit. Look at that, the damage works out. Dintic falls immediately.
Now Rochelle on the left-hand side, a bit of a field day to be had. Mitau, stealth won't save you when you're being dove by Rochelle, and things are going to go from bad to worse. Cool, suddenly rampaging now in this game. 9 streak for him, 9 streak for 3 members of Carnage Gaming at that rate, and then 10 for 1. Minute and 30 seconds left, but they might not need that much. Parallax just now get their Ash back. There is an assert dominance ready to go. Spexy rolls on in, and it doesn't matter. Rochelle guns him down upon re-entry, and Carnage Gaming in quick fashion take a 2-0 lead.
And I love the use of the Hexafire that Rochelle had there, just going and hiding in the corner. As soon as they dropped down, he just popped it. There's really not a lot of great places to use it on mid, especially when you're diving. You can kind of just get LOS'd, line of sighted around corners very easily. So we just said, all right, well, they gotta touch cart. So I'm just gonna stand next to the cart. And if they walk into me, then we're gonna cap this. And they're able to do it on the back of that. This really chaotic comp from Carnage has been working. Spexy struggling on this Cassie here, 0 and 4. Damage is great, but not really able to finish anything off because he's just getting collapsed on by these flankers without Impulse, sacrificing that little bit of extra burst for that big game means that Cool and Ares have a much easier time in the duels.
And now it's suddenly Parallax. Better in do or die mode. Parallax with small ultimate advantage, but Carnage Gaming want to go now. Scout to counter out the midnight. Look at the bowling balls rolling down the pins that are Parallax. Parallax haven't found anything yet, and instead it's Cool with a triple kill, looking for the quad, and he sure got it. The Talus starting to swing. Now on Warder's Gate, and Carnage Gaming blow Parallax out of the water.
Just a complete collapse on the dive composition. That is Carnage's comp doing exactly what it had to do with no answer, really, from the other side. And they even got the dismounts, too, so Parallax have to walk their way back to this objective. And this Ashe, they don't stop the Ashe. She has the assert dominance, too, so life is still here, especially with the dive getting stalled.
Look at this. Parallax are just not looking at Cool. Cool walks in, he runes of travels away. He's gonna get a triple. He gets it this time. Is it gonna be another quad? Oh, Ares steals it. Could have been a double quad for Cool. Oh, he effectively gets it on the fadeaway. Could have been a penta for Cool. What a swing for this Talus to give Carnage some life in the set.
No one ever picks Talus. All right, and Cool just throws away the god like he was 2 away from an annihilation, but he felt like wide peek in a Strix. And that'll make things a lot harder.
He gave a flashbang to Strix.
He gave him flashbang, but he did just kind of throw it into nothing. But look at this pressure. Fortress Maker Ashe just can't handle the Inara and the Maeve diving in.
Rashao is going to have to limp away here. Spexy, though, meets Cool fresh off of respawn. Too much damage now for Parallax to deal with. Carnage Gaming very close to tallying their first win here in this set. Minute and 45 seconds left. Parallax, and they don't have a lot of utility. No assert dominance, a through time in space, and a scout is all they've got.
Yeah, nothing at all, really. Other than, I guess, the pick from mid tower right now that they're in spawn, the Strix doesn't have to worry about getting dove. It's all about whoever's on the cart, but even one down, Carnage still want to go, and they still find their first.
Wow, and now he's going to use the true power in onto a Spexy, who dodge rolls his way in on back. It's a stun down on the mid tower, picked up by Scooter. A small contest in as Kronz is the only one really left in contention now for Parallax, and Tropic Breach down right around to the cart. Daggers in and through from Ares. Scooter gets himself a double around the corner. Ares hits the daggers for 3, and Carnage Gaming, they turn this set around, still behind, but get win number 1.
If you lose 2 really close 4-3s and then immediately win a 4-0, that is nothing but a good vibe for you, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that you're saying, oh, well, our losses were close, but our wins were dominating. Maybe it was in draft. Maybe it was just a tiny mistake that they've fixed, but complete night and day from the last couple of games. Especially 0-8. This is he top damage, but this is a star player that Carnage was able to completely shut down.
Yeah, Spexy, even in losses, has looked good. This is definitely an outlier. I mean, how do you talk about anyone other than Cool, I suppose, this game? I mean, I think it has to be prefaced with props for everyone on Carnage. I mean, this is the type of performance where everyone is doing their job, and it opens up this space for you. Talus, not super easy, I suppose, to control, though, at this level. He gets multi-kills galore, a quad, technically a second delayed quad, almost a penta if Ares didn't steal it. It was unstoppable, almost, throughout this entire game.
Yeah, and the Talus, I think it's just a big part of the dive competition, right? When you're playing a hyper-aggressive comp like this, you can get away with running this Talus, who normally isn't really seen that much in the other regions because of that. I think Cool was the one who got all the kills, but, I mean, big props also to Rashao playing this Ruckus, not normally seen a lot in Brazil. He made so much room. I mean, he was dying for Cool to be able to run in and clean up on all that initial damage him and Ares were able to get.
Well, Chris, it looked like Parallax might just run away with the set, but Carnage had something else in mind on Warder's Gate. They'll push us on to game number 4. We'll get to it right after this break. just a quick break before we jump back into what has suddenly become a very close and contested set between Parallax and Carnage. That's got to be some wind in your sails now if you're Carnage. I think you worded it very well. I mean, you get some crushing defeats in 7 points, and then you really take it to Parallax. And now, Krez, obviously a very different map, but kind of a skirmishy map that can buy some time for some dives if that's what you're looking for in Bright Marsh for Game 4.
The biggest difference is that it's just so much closer, right? I mean, verticality is still important.
Yes.
You can go over the rooftops, you can use the rim next to the point to actually dive in, but at the end of the day, Warder's Gate, Bright Marsh, you are way more compressed on Bright Marsh, at the very least, all those kind of tight rooms you're going to have to be playing in and around. But this is Parallax's choice. They're going to be back to first pick for this one, so maybe that'll be enough to help them swing this back in their favor. It could be a Bomb King. We love to see it. Spexies look good on it. Would you like, if you say it one more time?
Bomb King!
Well, I think you have to say it in a mirror, right? Is that what it is?
You say it
You
a
have
whole
to say his
bunch
name 3 times in the mirror with all the lights out, and then Spexy will lock in Bomb King.
What does that even look like in real life? Like what does a human BK look like? Love King? Does he look like the love, Valentine's skin? You
Artists,
know what I mean? Like,
please draw the most disgusting humanoid Bomb King you possibly can, and at Dave on Twitter.
Yeah, no,
please, as soon as possible.
No,
at Dolson Live still, right?
No, it is Dolson Live. Yes, free plug.
Okay, yes.
Okay,
sure. No worries.
No, but that just opens up the flood. I don't want flood of sketchy humanoid Bomb Kings to suddenly hit me on Twitter. I am curious. I don't know what that would look like, and it's suddenly gotten me thinking about it. He's still open. Rom and Genos are going to get banned out by Parallax. Yeah, notice the quick pivot away before we get down that hole too far. Carnage have been dead set on banning out this Androxus here. I mean, Dintic and Spexy, I think, both very talented on that pick. But you wonder if maybe it's left something else open, though apparently not. Is Parallax still prioritizing that Corvus over anything else?
Yeah, I think it makes sense, too, to have that Corvus, just the group healing. Also, he's not the worst at surviving dives, which they're going to be looking at with Ruckus now being picked up that first rotation. They were clearly happy with how they just played that last map. Just give Rochelle the Ruckus again. And it's not bad on this map either. We used to see it here all the time. He can play on that rim. He can actually go over the rooftops with aerial assault. And they can dive into a backline of a Corvus. If he's not ready, he could fall. And Grover's CC is a great way to set that all up.
Yeah, Grover has started to see some a rise in value as well, especially when one of Corvus or Genos, or both potentially, are not available. Cassie continues to be very important here in this set. We figured it would be important into the Ruckus there on Warder's Gate, but nothing was important into anything, it seems, except for Carnage Gaming into Parallax time and time again. Won't be the Bomb King. We haven't said his name enough in the mirror, I suppose. Instead, it's Willow who will appear here for Spexy once more.
I guess it's still possible for the Willow to have maybe double blaster or something if they think that'll win, but I do like the pickup into a potential dive comp from Carnage. Willow gets dove. She has 25% damage reduction she can rely on. She can also go to a high ground above them and also just ult, right, and fly way above them and not really be able to be dealt with. But Carnage kind of are going with the same MO. The same 3 non-support picks, a different support that works a little bit better for the map also because, of course, the Corvus had been taken away. They just want to keep rolling with that success they had before. And Parallax, the Willow is a better answer, but the rest of this draft, these tanks, I think, need to be stalwart.
Right, that's sort of been the Parallax MO, I think, right, throughout this set, where they are absolutely content with healer, damage, and then they just whatever frontliners are left at the end is what we'll work with. It's not like they got a sorry bunch, though. I mean, Fernando and Ash, very strong, of course, in the front line. You've been giving up this Inara, though. Didn't work out on Warder's Gate. Has worked out previously, though, in this set. Now Carnage Gaming only with the Mave, a bit of a hybrid there with Ruckus as far as damage and tankiness goes. We'll be looking for a little bit more off the top. Won't be the Talus run back. But it will be somebody who can do maybe just as much damage in that Vivian.
I think it's good to have the Vivian over the Talus because of shield break. if the Talus, imagine Talus goes to dive someone, right, and then it's Nando, and then he just shields. Talus then has to leave. He's not as effective. Worked great against the comp Parallax had last time, because what was stopping him? Nothing. He just went in and didn't care. There was nothing that could really be in his way. But now, switch to something else that can break down the door a little bit more and still be able to follow up with Parallax on Carnage's dive, because she's moving so fast all the time anyway.
Right. It's going to be zooming around this map. Parallax versus Carnage Gaming. We're about to dive into game number 4, where Carnage has suddenly pushed some life back into this set, where it looked like Parallax, despite some lengthy games, were going to walk away with things. But that's not to be here. You start to look at these drafts, put them specifically here for this map on Bright Marsh. Parallax, I think, got something they'll be happy with. Carnage does as well. We have seen the good and the bad from Willow, I think, so far in this set. Are there enough natural predators to the Willow here in this one, Krez, is the big question. I mean, a Vivian's going to maybe be able to shoot her down, a Maeve if the daggers are connecting, and maybe even Ruckus as well. Have some okay matchups into what Parallax are trying to do with this Willow.
I think it might just have to be similar to how you used to play against Drogo sometimes, where you just ignore her. You just run by and
Right.
hopefully you collapse on their team. I mean, look at how fast Cool and the rest of Carnage were able to delete all of Parallax earlier. And if they can do it again, then the Willow's consistent damage doesn't really matter when their burst damage will end up being superior. But looking at the dive here, I don't know if they have that same explosive potential. Rochelle will go in, he'll absorb the damage, but then it's kind of only Ares really following up on that. I like how Spexy started Haven this time as well, more of a standard start, I think, for that. But look at this early spread by them. Looks like they're just putting the tanks in the way and trying to slow down the dash when it comes in.
Ares lurking in the back here. Hits a couple of the early daggers here, but he's on his own. He's got to be careful. If Parallax are able to turn around consistently enough, but no, it's Cool with first blood. Now Ares has a blank check to move his way into the back line of Parallax. Carnage Gaming early control now on the point. Rochelle dashing off around to the side. They've corralled Parallax exactly where they want them here. Shoulder bash has been used in kinetic burst, not enough for Dintic to find a kill, and Carnage Gaming in great position for point number 1.
He just caught them inside that side apartment, and there was really no way for them to escape once Rochelle was in there. I like that they chose the squishier lane, right? Oh, fight off the Cassie. Maybe we can get out that way, but just unable to make it really happen as the dive comes in again from them. Ruckus is already in, and Ares a little bit late, but still managing to find the daggers.
Well, it's 81%, so if Carnage Gaming win this one, that's likely just point number 1. Cool trades out 1 for 1. Dashing around to the side is Fernando, barely able to stay alive, but he does stay alive. And now it's just Inara contesting the point until the rest of her team can get back in. It even does get a couple extra ticks off the top. Parallax Gaming finally, as the game has reached its 2-minute mark, able to start building up some percentage, but Carnage Gaming have so much time to regroup and fight maybe just one more time.
They will be able to get back in because of all that mobility that they have. Look at this attempt at chasing a Spexy. He used his dash early, actually, so maybe he's a viable target, completely isolated, and just now getting healed with the Faithlight.
Faithlight up and over, and now suddenly maybe it's Carnage that's trapped in with the rest of Parallax. A Whirlwind gonna get gunned down on by a Spexy, who's rampaging now through this game. A double kill now on the back end of this mid-fight. Carnage Gaming are gonna have to work their way back in, but they do not have the legs to do so. Parallax Gaming, from a 93% deficit, take point number 1 on Bright Marsh.
Huge turnaround. I think Spexy living was a massive part of it. Also, the Whirlwind from Crimson not making it to Rochelle in time, whereas other ultimates get spent in not the best way. Look at that, too. They get away on the side of Carnage. I was going to say that stagger could be very difficult, but they will get out and manage to stabilize. I would not be shocked to see a very early ultimate come out here, maybe a Seismic Crash. The Midnight tried to come out, but Mitau found him immediately.
Now it's a flutter up and over, and suddenly Carnage Gaming getting staggered out here. Spexy has found his legs in this matchup. A triple kill for the Willow around the bend has put Carnage Gaming back and respawning once more. Now it's the high ground to take. That's very important. And Krez, you have a Vivian, but Parallax are going to have to get closer before she really maybe hits that full-on damage dealer stride from that high ground. Carnage Gaming might still have to try to dive down onto the ground here, close the gap as much as possible, and that's what they're looking to do, at least at the moment. And assert dominance buys a little bit of time for Parallax, but even trades across the boards for now.
I think I was right about them maybe having to ignore Willow, but I guess you can't ignore Espexi in particular on this Willow, because he's just slowly stacking all this damage up. As this card gets very close here, but Carnage have some ultimates they could spend. Hexafire would be a great opener if they can get far enough in. Looks like he got stuck in front. No, might not be able to get that much further.
Oh no, Ares finds the dive onto a Spexy. Rochelle, though, trades out. Front line's very important now for Carnage Gaming to keep the card exactly where it's at, so losing your Ruckus is never going to be ideal. Kronz is going to get rooted on in place by Crimson there. Still 45 seconds left. That feels like a round-ending fight, but it's anything but. This is where Carnage Gaming can really make up some ground and potentially just end the round by walking their way out as far as possible forward. That cart is close enough. You gotta be careful on where you take these fights.
They just have to be, yeah, they have to be careful about how far forward they go because of how close that card is, as you were just saying. But yeah, they're actually just gonna disengage. Looks like they're kind of fighting. Wait a minute, no, they found a way in. Ares alone in the back, but they're all turning and they have to save him with the Seismic Crash.
Seismic Crash does drop down. Carnage Gaming are gonna win this fight and likely this round here. A flurry of kills. There's just Kronz back onto the cart, but he's being left alone here, and this round will end with Parallax Gaming unable to convert and Carnage Gaming tying things up. In that ultimate department, though, Parallax, I think, smart to sort of hold on to a lot of what they've got. Seismic Crash, big missing piece of utility there for Scooter, who's had a tough game. 0 and 5 so far on the Inara.
It's hard to live on Inara when if your dive fails, then you're just basically saying, all right, well, my job is to exist until they kill me. Just stand on this objective and buy time for my team to have time to do another dive, maybe afterwards with Rochelle and the Maeve going in. I'm starting to think that maybe lacking that second flanker could be really painful for Carnage when they can't have that proper follow-up like they did last time, because Rochelle and Ares made a lot of room last time, but Cool was the one who cleaned up on everything, and they might just be missing that piece with the damage from Willow, the damage from Cassie, slowing down Cool enough so he can't really commit.
Well, Spexy just fully stacks the Haven to start off this game. Makes some sense when you consider who his most viable threats will be throughout this game. Faithlight now to try to turn around this fight. It's an Immortal used and keeps the Spexy into the fight to the tune of a double kill, but immediately answered back with 2 of Carnage's own. Assert dominance, goes up, does land down. 2 stunned on in. Parallax Gaming set up the dominoes and then tipped them over with 1 fell swoop here. Right back onto the point goes Scooter, but it will not delay Parallax from a big team fight.
I can't believe Parallax got that with the way that it started. Espexi really helping them turn it around, because that Immortal could have saved Mitao, and it didn't. They just lost. Remember that was saved by a small misplay by Kronz, but Espexi puts it in his hands. But Carnage now wanting to take it back in theirs with that early Midnight. It's scouted, and they can't find too much with it.
So now the damage number is very important for both sides, but Carnage Gaming, they've been good throughout this set on these retake attempts, and it looks like this one will be no different. They find 3 kills, and Kronz will end up falling as well, and suddenly it's Parallax Gaming that have to work their way back in. Similar story to what we've seen previously. They fought back from 93-0 on the previous mid-fight. We'll have to do more of the same here. And Tropic Breach is going to be the only thing ready to go for Parallax. Carnage Gaming are going to have that Whirlwind, so both supports are going to be the difference makers as far as ultimates go. And Tropic Breach keeps Dintic right in place, slows him down, damages him down, sets up the kill for Cool, who gets rid of most of the frontline duty. Suddenly, the Vivian has been let off the leash. A triple kill for Carnage Gaming, and that'll likely ice this mid. There's something about these players getting quads in this set, and now Carnage Gaming get their second point.
And Cool basically uncontested near the end. The tanks were the ones who were absorbing all of the damage there by the very end. They had Inara and Ruckus both super low, but they couldn't follow up on any of them when they did. A full health Cool was there to help them turn the tide even further. Ash not being able to make it all the way in was very difficult. She got to the touch, but ended up dying for it. Look at that burst damage that Carnage have to play off of. Dintic got rooted, was immediately at half. It's so tough for them to push out when they don't have their shields available, and now Kronz is getting pressured early.
And Ares weaves some daggers around the shield. It's going to be annoying to do so, but Cool is there to make it a 2 versus 1 fight. Dintic knocks back some damage here. He's just in contest range, but suddenly Cool is unstoppable in this game. And that's given a massive edge over to Carnage Gaming, and he continues his tear right on through. Has to duck back into the apartments. keep himself alive and into the fight. Midtown rolls away, and Crimson will be able to call him on it. Now a minute and 30 seconds left. Carnage Gaming very close to taking a 3-1 lead on Bright. Marsh. Oh, Outlander just walks a little bit too far forward, right into the crosshairs of Cool, who will get the Parallax healer back into the grayscale screen for the next 10 or so seconds. Dintic drops down the assert dominance. Aspexy will flutter up and over here. Dintic still alive. Very important. Kinetic burst sends one flying, but Rochelle picks up the kill. And once Ash goes down and Kranz has to work his way back in, there's no chance. Carnage Gaming, talk about a turnaround. They have a chance to push us to a game 5.
They basically didn't stop from that retake onward, and there was that Immortal just barely not saving Midtown when Parallax were still able to win this fight. But this was honestly the last sign of life they've really had from that play onward. They've been looking a little bit crushed here by Carnage, just suffocated by this Vivian, not able to get through that damage that she has. Everyone else being pretty well protected, and the healing not able to keep up now that we are in the late game with those cauterized threes. And even the record, too, actually also built for Cool here. So Nando's shield, especially since Kranz is still on that Scorch, not really able to be back up in time to keep him going through a lot of this. But Havens now are being picked up by Parallax, specifically Midtown getting his. Plus the Resilience's ultimates might not be as effective. Carnage will have to execute just off the back of their own dive.
The Fae Flight, will that give Parallax the advantage? The answer is yes for the time being. But low health bars across the board for the blue team here. Can Carnage Gaming now capitalize? Cool in a perfect spot to be able to do so, but the numbers overwhelm Carnage Gaming, who've lost 2 members now, 39%, and Scooter is just there to contest. Midtower double kill will put the end to the Carnage Gaming reign of terror. Ares, some nice range daggers there, actually trades out a 1-for-1, and Parallax right back in control of the mid.
And they want to take even more of it with this Midnight. Kranz, the view we have of them being invisible, but look at that Hexafire plus Midnight in the back, but they're all running away.
Immortal down from Kranz just to keep Parallax in it a little bit longer. Carnage Gaming have just kind of walked themselves back in. This is a massive pivot point here in this set. Parallax have to find the legs to fight back in, otherwise Carnage have all the momentum going into game 5. Dintic shoulder bashes his way right back in. Half HP, no assert dominance. Ares 1. Scooter 1, Scooter 2, suddenly Carnage Gaming starting to run away with Bright Marsh. Parallax Gaming, no leg to stand on, and we are indeed headed to a game number 5.
What a play by the end by Carnage, that seismic crash hitting up top in the tree. You said Scooter 1 and Scooter 2, probably felt like there were 2 in that game with the impact he had in that final fight. Slowing them out up top, giving them easy follow-up, and contesting the objective and racking that up for them, so it was a great play by the NR by the end. He was struggling near the very beginning, but is Ramsey okay?
Oh yeah,
okay, good.
No, see, I've been keeping an eye on her from the corner of my camera here because she likes. Wait, I gotta figure this out. She likes this side of the bed.
Okay.
So when she had moved over, I couldn't see her in the background, but she's napping. I don't know how she sleeps through all this. If she can deal with the yelling. Must be doing something right here. Yeah, sorry. I could try to focus the camera like mid, but then I just end up ruining things. She is passed out here. How's anyone sleeping through this? Maybe my dog's broken. She's asleep in a game 5 scenario where Carnage Gaming have turned things around here. Unbelievable, Kresnik. The way Carnage Gaming, not only that my dog is sleeping through it, but that Carnage Gaming have turned this set around. Look at the numbers there from Cool. 15-8, 8-4 for Crimson as well. And that's all while Rochelle and Scooter, the front lines, they just took so much of a beating there, and Carnage still get it done in 4-1 fashion.
Surprised the damage was taken was so close with them just kind of throwing themselves in. Rochelle, I think a lot of that mitigated by the shield that we had. And again, Cool on this pseudo follow-up roll, doing such a great job for it. Honestly, helping them turn things around. Maybe that wasn't his best moment standing in those seedlings, but a lot of the rest of it was cleaning up on what Ares and Rochelle were able to do and just being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, I've loved the turnaround from Ares as well in this set. It's always a treat. I don't know. Look, I love Ares, and when he hits that stride, there's that like on switch that sometimes gets flipped. It's just so difficult to play against him, especially on picks like the Maeve. And I think an absolute treat to watch, and Carnage Gaming definitely better off for it here. They've been taking it to the damage dealers at Parallax Gaming, which is not something a lot of teams in Brazil have been able to do up to this point. Beautiful seismic crash there from Scooter on the setup as well. That was really, I suppose, his job. But you look at Parallax, we've talked a lot about, you know, Midtow and Aspexy. The fact that anyone can keep pace with what Parallax have done up to this point, I think a massive boon to the cause here for Carnage Gaming. And Parallax will take us on to split Stone Quarry for game number 5.
It's definitely singing songs of their growth from what they've had at the start of this phase to now. Just minor changes. You know, Rashao coming back to the scene after that break he took throughout phase 1. Cool now getting picked up on the roster, being previously the off tank for Fatal Ambition, now saying, hey, I can play DPS too. By the way, just throw me on it and I will be able to keep up with the best of the best here in the top of this region. Eevee will be the first ban by Carnage, which I think makes a lot of sense. Splitstone Quarry verticality is so important on this map, being able to hold on to it or just abusing it for yourself. So Carnage, they say, well, we don't want to play Eevee. We'll take that away from a Spexy. Maybe we'll get our Mave later. But this Ruckus target ban by Parallax, Rashao must have been such an impact player these last couple of games.
I guess. I mean, look, I love Ruckus and that damage and ability to open up space on the front line. Sometimes maybe it's easier just to take it off the table. Continued, though, Androxus bans for Carnage Gaming. And another respect ban as Ares will get his Mave taken away. So we'll have to see something a little bit different. Buck has been a popular answer back, I suppose, from Ares. It's what he played in game 1 in that 7-point game. Now, Carnage Gaming have to feel like this probably could have been their set already. 2 7-point losses and now 2 blowout wins. You know, one of those early games goes your way, and this one's all over. So a chance nonetheless to win it now for both teams. Fernando, first pick, though, for Carnage Gaming. Got to admit, Krez, a little surprised that that pick carries that much weight.
Yeah, the Nando early doesn't really make a ton of sense to me. I feel like the Inara has been important for them, but Carnage, I think they're just looking to take it away, considering what's been taken away from them. But Kron's and Inara is still great. I mean, you're taking away a Scorch Nando point tank. He's doing a good job with it, but still just trying to make him feel uncomfortable, I guess. Cassie, as the follow-up, is also a unique choice from Parallax. I don't think she's really winning a whole lot. Just a safe pick. I guess Parallax want to stay flexible later. But Carnage, I think they win out here. They have the only real vertical flanker that I think I want on my team left, right? With the 3 that have been banned, you get the Buck, he can barely make it. I guess Koga can climb, but the sustain level that Buck has is just very hard for whatever flanker Parallax end up with to burn through.
And Carnage get the Strix as well. There is a Kinessa still on the table if that's where Parallax want to go. I mean, I suppose what a Zin with Spite has some of that vertical mobility that we sometimes see. I mean, maybe. You have seen Zin on this map. He's pretty good at dueling with the Buck and some of the other flankers on Lava side, mobility notwithstanding. It's once you win that fight and you need to get yourself up to the high ground, that tends to be his issue. Corvus later on picked now for Parallax. A very well-rounded draft, I would argue, for Parallax to start off, and it ends up actually being the Zin, so we probably will see a few of those dances with the Buck and the Zin going toe-to-toe.
And they'll both be able to sustain each other out, especially with the Corvus backing up that Zin, which should make up for a little bit of that sustain difference. This really almost looks like the drafts have been just flipped, right? I mean, other than the Buck, maybe, it looks like Carnage are just taking a Parallax draft, and Parallax are taking a Carnage draft, and see who wears each other's hats better, I guess, with the Genos to follow things up in the end. If Genos was their plan from the start, I think it would make sense for them to want to get that Nando early, take it away from Parallax, and maybe not feel like they have to play that Barrack or solo tank Ashe. But Parallax now, they have a counter pick here left. They can go triple DPS. They can go this double tank. Yeah, can't see the Ruckus, but Rom is up, but they want to go triple DPS instead. Grab that Victor for Midtown when he's looked like such an impact player on it before. Throw him in Quarry or throw him on high ground, probably in Quarry against a Strix, and keep that area locked down.
Well, you think about the triple DPS comp that Parallax ran, it was with an Ashe last time, so now you have the staying power of this Inara. I think maybe gives Parallax a much better chance. It's time to turn things around if you are Parallax. Yes, you did not incorrectly hear me there. Parallax won 2 straight, and now Carnage Gaming have won 2 straight. Game number 5, 1 game to decide if Parallax continue their undefeated streak here in this phase of the PPC, or Carnage Gaming can finally capitalize on the storyline of them being sort of these rivals to Parallax for so long. Maybe hasn't felt like that recently due to all of Parallax's success. But Carnage Gaming now a chance to sort of reignite things in this matchup. How worried are you, though? We talked about some of the lack of verticality maybe for Parallax. That this Strix is just going to be safe and sound up there on the high ground.
I think he'll be able to sit there and free fire, but I think it's about just not peeking him, right? They have to play so careful around him, but it's not impossible. It's just very difficult to make that happen. If they can get away with it, then Parallax can make it work. But Cool can also play the rotations. You know, if Cool plays really stationary, it'll be a lot easier for Parallax to play around him. If we see him drop down sometimes, if we see him go all the way on far, far left to get early angles, that could work out. And he looks already a little bit mobile back and forth as both these teams just kind of position for the next fight.
Parallax already able to build up about 20% or so, however. So, small win on Split Stone Quarry, a map where sometimes the passive buildup is just enough to win you that fight. Quick pause by one of the players before we get back into the game here. I suppose that's what we need to expect, though, in a triple DPS comp like this, is that Inara just kind of touching toe on the point, building up some of that percentage, while hopefully the rest of the damage is able to be done around the fringes.
Yeah, that's exactly how you have to do it. Just trade, especially against a Strix as well. You just walk on until he looks at you and then just run away once your cooldowns are up and get whatever little bit you're able to here. And I gotta say, the triple DPS we saw earlier, that was being played on a map that I think is a lot worse for triple DPS. Split Stone, excuse me, is the premier, in my eyes, triple DPS map. Just the way you can isolate and surround the point, the way how easy it is to hold as that one central choke point. It's a lot easier for these DPSs to be able to kind of make up for the lack of a health pool that they're going to have.
Nice. Love the way Aspexy and Midtow together call Ares on his bluff a little bit there. The Buckhead stayed alive, but Midtow then drops down, drops the grenade now. A couple of kills for Parallax Gaming, and the damage duo on the right-hand side here controlling all of the space early on here for Parallax Gaming, and you've got that Inara slowly building up percentage points for you. It looks like Parallax Gaming might just run away with the first point.
Yeah, non-stop with the cap time they had early. I guess neither tank really able to keep up with the tank on the point. Counterpick maybe feeling a little bit tough now as they get rid of Kronz's Nando and just give him something that will stand on the objective and win it out, as this early barrage helps him take even more space, plus that spike gets a kill.
Love that Aspexy is able to connect there on that one now. It's a shoulder bash through. Luckily, the shield will keep Midtow at bay just a little bit longer. So kind of a soft reset here, it seems, from Parallax, just waiting for the rest of the team to get back. Crimson nearly falls there and does end up, as Aspexy will find the angle. Rashal up on the high ground, cleans up the Zin, though. So a small win there, and then Cool left unchecked in the back line for too long. Finally does Strix things, and Midtow will end up falling down. So now it's kind of mid-fight round 2 for Parallax, as it seems, just to fight your way back onto the cart.
With Cool on this Strix, I think the hardest part of the map is going to be once they get it around that second corner, once he has that spawn room protection, right? If he can just back up, get healed, be effectively CC immune, it'll be hard to go in, but they have a plan. It's going to be this Entropic plus Seismic, and it at least finds the sniper.
Does get the kill onto Cool. They paid a high price for it, though, so the rest of this fight needs to be in your favor. Rashal with the up-down connects with the assert dominance. Outlander has to back away, but he's not able to do so. A double kill for Rashal, and then Ares toggles a third suddenly for Carnage Gaming. Unable to break through the wall is Parallax. Now Carnage Gaming have melted away about a minute and a half off of the clock. Perfect positioning. And Kresnik, that is a high-value assert dominance, the only ultimate that Carnage had to spend.
Yeah, and they got rid of the 3 effectively that Parallax spent in response, right, for that engagement, the Seismic Crash and Tropic Breach combo. They're definitely sitting pretty in terms of resources here. But I like how Parallax are taking this. I like them playing in the house because it's one of the few angles Cool really can't do anything about as they try to fight another, but the health pools are just too much on the inside for them to live.
Ares and Rashal combined for 2 now. Cool fighting back behind his Fernando shield will obviously buy him a little bit of extra time. 15 seconds left here on Split Stone Quarry. It'd be a tall task not only to even fight back into the cart, but then to get that cart back on to the Carnage Gaming side of the map. Won't stop Parallax from trying. At this point, maybe you're just building up a couple of those ultimate charges as best as you can, but you're not super worried if you're not able to convert things here. Ares quite low. Will dodge out the grenade, and instead Ares is going to get aggressive. He's found Mitau in the backline here has to restore, gets the kill. Mitau, rather, instead it was Dintic who got dove on. Mitau turns around the kill onto Ares. A double kill suddenly from this Victor who was able to stay alive, but now Cool, who is also able to stay alive, is going to turn around enough damage. Parallax Gaming absolutely have the numbers here, so things remain interesting, but Carnage Gaming will be quicker on the respawn.
Even so, though, they're actually getting staggered kills, so Carnage's people who aren't going down will have a chance to get back, but that's going to be the impact pick. The kill onto Outlander, and the dodge of the dash from the Spite. He gets right away from it, and he's able to stay on this objective.
Krez, I think there's a world with that Spike connects. This card just goes in. Spexy has to billow his way around to the corner. It's another assert dominance from Rochelle. The last one won Carnage the first fight. How about this one? And it seems to be doing its job here. Cool with a double kill, looking for a third, and Cool's got it. A triple kill for the Strix. Keeps the card at bay. We are tied back up at 1.
The Carnage had to use both tank ultimates for it. They had the Immortal go right into the assert dominance after. They're constantly playing this Buck Ash dive on anybody who tries to go into lava. Now they're not going to have that in any sort of as effective way. I think now they can't have that assert dominance to really help them stay alive through that. So a little bit of a harder mid for them, as Parallax have quite a few resources. Seismic Crash and Barrage are the two I'm looking at, I think, primarily. Especially if you can hit the Strix. Even if he's invisible, you can take him down right through that with that barrage targeting. But Carnage, I think their defense looks great when they're able to force Parallax in, but if Parallax can play slow the way the triple DPS comp wants to do, it's going to be a lot tougher.
Parallax didn't really look all that pressured on the first mid fight. Now look at the health bar on Mitau already. Probably ate a sniper shot through that barrage, but everyone stays alive, and as you'd expect, Parallax slowly building up a percentage here, 30%, but now Inara caught out a bit on her own. Over on Fidget Spinner's side, immediately though, Dintic will roll his way into Danger's way, and Ares, a double kill suddenly, puts down the low health bars, multi-kills abound, a triple kill suddenly for Ares. Cool will lock down the fourth, the fifth domino falls as Rochelle will snag one as well. Carnage Gaming, all at once, push back Parallax.
Off the back of that great dive into the Entropic Breach, it's more of an area suggestion of denial tool as opposed to an actual area denial tool, because you can just go in and tank it if you really need to. Listen, I've sent you it's a sternly worded email of an ultimate is what Entropic Breach is, and Ares ignored it this time as they have this complete control on the sides, but Spexy might have him shut down. He's completely surrounded.
It's the please clap of ultimates, maybe, and somewhat works out for Parallax here, but yeah, for Parallax. Carnage Gaming, they were able to withstand, and they work their way through. They do not clap. Instead, Parallax Gaming now have to fight their way back in. Carnage Gaming, 93%. Look at the dominoes in the kill feed, but Spexy whirls his way through. Parallax Gaming at 57%. Just need to keep Carnage Gaming at bay a little bit longer. Whirled right back off to the side. Ares still down on the low ground. 84% for Parallax, and assert dominance for Rochelle. Could make the difference here. There's the up, there's the down. No stunts on either side. Ares locked in with 3. Rochelle's assert dominance is going to time out here, and he was only able to get to 96%, but look at all the time that's been bought. Carnage Gaming suddenly with a couple of kills on the board thanks to Scooter, and Rochelle stays alive as well. Parallax Gaming, they've been turned around sideways, and Carnage Gaming are going to run away with the second point.
I was so worried about that assert dominance because he landed on the point and then just didn't cap. He just stood next to it, and it almost gave them a chance to refight, but the collapse from Scooter was perfectly timed as they go. Carnage back in advantage again. Definitely has to feel good after those last two, but look at this pressure right now from Parallax.
Well, it's enough to make Scooter consider and then actually use the Immortal. A flashbang down, but Parallax Gaming staying alive thanks to a flashbang. Never thought I'd say that, but now there's a sudden collapse from Carnage into the corner. A couple members of Parallax just being zoned out here by Scooter. It's chaos in the small room here, and Spexy is maybe doing the most damage now as Parallax are going to cauterize their wounds just slightly and keep Carnage at bay. This is exactly where the cart stalled out on the opposite side of the map.
It's one of the most brutal choke points in the map, as we used to say every single time we watched this map being played, to the anguish of everyone who watched every single competitive match of Paladins that gets played. But it really is one of the strongest choke points to have. It's very difficult to push in from below because of all that high ground control that they have. But Parallax are having a more passive look at it. Look where Rashao is able, where they were able to get with the Ash right behind them, and Cool just runs it down main. How do you know he's there when he's invisible?
I don't think you can, but a barrage will set up Kronz for a nice kill there. Cool has 2. Ares restores right on in. 1 or 2 more shots is all he needs. Outlander, he survives through the reload, but Rashao is there to capitalize. Restore back off cooldown, and Ares starting to control this front line here. The cart will make its way through the first and maybe most difficult choke point. 45 seconds left to bring it home.
And they have to go back and fight this flanker because their respawners are going to really struggle, I think, if they don't get this in. Finally, they see him, but that Corvus gives him such a big advantage in this fight, I think, and he doesn't even want to take it. That's how much lack of confidence he has against Ares, and Aspects, he's just bringing him on a wild goose chase.
Yeah, but Ares then turns his attention right back onto the cart where Scooter had been left alone. Seismic Crash will not channel here. Ares gets rid of Kronz. Now avoid grip up, but he has to reload. Once again, into the billow goes a Spexy, and Ares will restore himself once again. 10 seconds remaining, and it looks like Parallax, for the time being, have done enough. We know that Brazil loves to throw these ultimates out. Will Rashao choose to do so? He will shoulder bash around the corner, puts him right back in range. A perfect spot to up down if you want, but Rashao does not want. We're starting to work our way right back towards a tied game, 2-2.
Yeah, I'm so happy that Rashao did not ult there, because if he was on SSG and I was still a coach, I probably would have destroyed him after the game if that was the choice there for it. You got to just take the 2-2, have the assert dominance, even if you went with it last time. I just realized that Aspexy, I think he ulted into the fidget spinners. I am about 99% sure
I did not catch that, so
I'm pretty sure he flew into the spinners, and I did not notice until I didn't see how low he was. Either he did, or it was some burn after the fact.
Right.
Oh, that is sad zone for Aspexy there, who's still performing the best on his team. He's the only one of the DPS that are positive he's been able to stay alive and kite them this whole time. I think he's been the star for them on these defenses, and now I think he has to be the star on these mid-fights as well. This guillotine is going to be so important. And he has to find a way to sneak it around the immortal Nando has.
Scooter's shield just gets immediately melted through, so he'll have to back away. Ares low as well. This is an important one. Whoever wins this mid-fight, a chance to win the game. Aspexy, this spite does not go into the fidget spinner, instead onto Scooter, so a small win there. If he did indeed fidget spin his way to death last time. Parallax unable to really convert a lot of that into percentage, though, just now making their way back onto the point. Crimson doing a fantastic job of sustaining, not so much killing. Through time and space won't find anyone. Aspexy billows his way away, stays alive for the time being. There's an Immortal used as well, and Carnage Gaming just going to force Parallax back, but Parallax withstand the storm. They get a kill onto Rashao and can now re-engage.
Oh, I really hated that Immortal, Dave. He used it on a tank just to push through, and everyone else just was able to run away. Scooter now will fall on the point, and just Cool left to kind of maybe keep this a chance. But look how aggressive Aspexy is. That boost will end up finding that final kill, keeping him up. And I don't know if Carnage can retouch, but they've been able to hold this before. They have someone come in, it's Rashao, but Carnage, they have one more chance for life, but they'll have to throw even more people on the point if they want to.
Overtime is reset here. Spexy will put up the counter. This Ares versus Spexy battle has been fun to watch, and Spexy wins it this time around. He had a little bit of help. Spite once more onto Scooter, and then immediately into the billow. Big plays from Spexy, nearly a third, but Cool hits the important shot. Gives Carnage Gaming a small shred of hope in this one, but that shred is slowly burning away as Parallax Gaming take their third point, and now Parallax a chance to win the set after Carnage Gaming have won 2 straight games.
And now they've already managed to break through this first choke. As long as they don't get too aggressive from this, as long as they don't push too far forward, they should be able to make it happen. But Mitao alone trying to take this fight, which could go in the Bucks' favor, but look at that nade, that combo. The synergy takes down Ares.
Now Parallax Gaming, they're keeping their foot on the gas here. Carnage slowly being worked away from the choke point where they held Parallax at bay the entire previous push, and that will not stand for very long here. Unfortunately, Aspexy, without the cooldowns, will not escape from Ares this time around, but Krez I think Parallax happy with the way their first push got them and exactly where they stand. They're around that first brutal choke point.
Yeah, they gotta be happy about that, and they're also managing to all stay alive and maybe find another pick. Ares just out of sync with his tanks, it looks like, because they're both sitting in the middle of that while ignoring Kron's in the backline.
Oh, cool. Now in and out of stealth, a double kill for him here. And so a retake almost of the choke point for Carnage Gaming. Very important to keep Parallax exactly where they're at. Definitely tense moments here if you're cool, realizing you're maybe the most important member for keeping Parallax at bay, especially from some of this range. He's on a 2 streak right now, a couple big kills on the previous defense. They've got a minute to do it here. Rochelle has the assert dominance, doesn't need it just yet. We'll get the knockback. At this point, you're just wasting time if you're Carnage.
Yeah, they're trying to just delay them as much. It is a 4 versus 4. They did get someone traded out, and actually they bleed someone else out. I love that push by the Inara, catching them out, isolating them. And Aspexy keeps trying to stay in these fights, but accidentally blade dance 4 whirls his way off of ledges. That's the second time in a row he's accidentally thrown himself completely out of the fight and given Carnage a chance to reset. But look at that, another trade, but Cool's the one who goes down, and he is the impact player that Parallax have needed to take down.
Absolutely. Now it's a double kill for Dintick. The respawns for Carnage Gaming close. 5 ultimates ready to go for each side. 10 seconds left. Carnage Gaming work their way back into their base. It's an Immortal used and an Assert Dominance as well. Carnage Gaming do not have any more tank ultimates. It's a seismic crash through, and it locks down a kill on a Scooter. Through time and space won't be it this time around. Ares leaps his way into the back line. He does not have the kill. Dintick does, though. He's got 2. Suddenly, Parallax Gaming, they've come alive. They smell blood on the water. The cart does as well. Scooter's going to make his way right back down from base. His shield melting away. The respawns all staggered out. Parallax Gaming, they might be able to do it here, but Carnage Gaming get Rochelle right back into the fight. The bursts are there from Midtow. Now Ares has to go big, but he won't do so. Parallax Gaming get it done, and they roll in the cart.
And Cool was so close there near the very end. He almost got it. If he had been one step forward, they might have had a chance to maybe have Genos touch too. But still, really hard there near the end. Great by Parallax on that final push. Constantly catching people running forward. I gotta say, though, Carnage, I wanted them to use some combo ultimates a little bit more. Every time I heard him assert dominance, we were watching Genos, and in my head, I'm like, I can't wait for that sick time and space that's about to combo. And Crimson just... No, I'm good.
I'm with you.
I think I have 2 marks out. I'm basically doing anything I need.
Well, here's the final push here. A little stutter towards the end on our end, but Parallax Gaming realizing that they had enough of a stagger out onto Carnage, just sort of roll that one in there towards the end. And it was the same combo that didn't work out previously, where it was an Immortal and an Assert Dominance at the same time, and it almost seemed, Krez, like Parallax kind of just slightly disengaged. They say, all right, we're going to just try to stay alive while the Assert Dominance and the Immortal both time out at the same time. And then suddenly they push back in with all of their ultimates, and Carnage Gaming unable to withstand it. That's unfortunate. Carnage Gaming, they showed up big here in this set. They lose 2 7-pointers and a 6-pointer down the stretch, but then beat Parallax, what was it, in 4-1 and 4-2 fashion, something like that on Bright Marsh. So definitely show up here, but Parallax ultimately showed a little bit more grit here on Splitstone.
Yeah, I think I like the draft that they came out with too. The fact that they came in with that triple DPS again. They played it well into the sniper too. Cool was still able to do quite a bit, but just not enough, I guess, when you're getting line of sighted like that. Playing against a sniper is hard, but Parallax were able to do it. And they adapted to what Carnage were doing too. We saw that constant dive into the backline that they wanted to do, with people going into the lava side of the map, and then they would rotate people away as it kept happening, as Carnage kept repeating that same style of play. Parallax adapted. They figured out a way to stay alive through it, and then just walk forward and leave the people isolated in the back.
You know, and Aspexy continued to impress me here in this set, Kresnik. You know, we saw a small variety of characters. You know, saw the Willow a couple of times. Really happy to see the Zin down the stretch here. This guy's a force to be reckoned with in this region, and the come up he's had has been an absolute blast to watch. And You know, and again, if we're going to keep shining some positive lights on Carnage, I think you've got to be happy that for 2 and maybe even more than that games out of this set, you were able to keep pace with what Aspexy and the damage dealers for Parallax were able to do. Parallax advanced themselves to 11-0. It's a 25 plus minus, only 1 improvement after they dropped 2 maps here to Carnage Gaming. But Carnage starting to widen that gap a little bit in the plus minus, over in control.
Lineup stays about the same, but maybe some of that will change as we watch. Team, we got to see them on Saturday of last week. They actually pummeled on each other, and one of them kept coming up and they actually maybe not scrimming as much. They're kind of trying to rely on their just overall talent and all.
Yeah, that Flashpoint squad, you know, an absolute blast to watch. Snapping as well, a very exciting team over in that North American region to watch.